Zombie Driver HD is a top-down vehicle shooter and was a pretty decent experience despite its flaws. I want to say I bought it for $5 off the 360 store if my memory serves me right, and that's probably the most I'd suggest paying for it. This game consisted of three modes: a campaign, the blood race mode, and a endless survival mode. The campaign consisted of 31 levels, and on average each took me about 8 minutes to beat. The story of the campaign was pretty bare bones, but Zombie Driver HD didn't really need a story, so it worked out okay. In a nutshell, spoiler alert, an unnamed corrupt corporation had a science experiment go bad in an unnamed city. They sent in mercenaries to the city posing as the military to try to control it. You play as some random dude stuck in the middle who just happens to be a really good car driver and is willing to help save people and end the zombie outbreak. Unfortunately, about two-thirds of the way into the game, he's scratched by a zombie cat and turns into a zombie in the ending cutscene. The corporation ends up nuking the city, and the game ends with a close up of your character, now a zombie, after escaping the blast radius. And that's the story. You gather the story from the two cutscenes in the game, little bits of information given to you by NPCs you rescue, and by mission briefings. Most levels are pretty similar in nature, consisting of a primary and secondary objective. The primaries were usually something along the lines of go to point A, kill a bunch of zombies, and then come back. Sometimes you'd rescue civilians, sometimes you'd plant various explosives or zombie repellents in the city, but again, most levels were pretty similar in nature, and probably a third of the game was civilian rescue missions. The secondary objectives were optional, of course, but usually consisted of having to kill a specified amount of zombies or having to complete the level within a certain time frame. I usually did the secondary objectives when I could, especially since some of them rewarded new vehicles. There were also three boss levels in which you fought giant stationary zombies which could regain health. And the game did throw in a little variety with two missions where you drove a tank, those were super fun, two where you drive a bulldozer, I think one where you drove a military truck, and one where you have a fire truck and get to put out fires. But other than that, you got to choose your own vehicles for the levels. Vehicles are unlocked as you progress or can be unlocked on some levels via side missions. I stuck with the bus for most of the game after unlocking it, as it had the highest civilian carrying capacity along with the best armor and ramming stats. In between levels, you can use money you earn to purchase both vehicle and weapon upgrades. All weapons and vehicle stats have three upgrade tiers. Thankfully, weapon upgrades were universal, but you had to upgrade each vehicle individually, consisting of armor, ramming power, and speed. And each of the four weapons could be upgraded 3 times to increase ammo capacity and damage output. You have four weapons: a machine gun, a flamethrower, a rocket launcher, and a railgun. You can only hold one at a time, and ammo is scattered throughout the levels. I personally found the machine gun to be the most reliable of the four guns, and this title had a fair amount of enemy variety among its three modes: normal walkers that could melee and throw stuff at your car, strong zombies that were like normal walkers but stronger, zombie dogs which had little health but moved really fast, and finally fat zombies, the worst of the bunch, as they explode upon their death and ramming them isn't a viable option, as this will deal heavy damage to your vehicle. And there were also spawn nests for zombies scattered around the game for you to destroy. Moving on, the blood race mode is basically various modes of vehicular combat racing, and was way more fun than I expected. The endless survival is pretty self-explanatory, and was probably the most fun of the three modes in my opinion. You start off with one map, and additional maps can be unlocked by reaching a set amount of points in each map. Graphically, this game doesn't look bad for when it came out, although the camera angle wasn't great. The soundtrack was okay, and the sound effects were alright. Overall, I think this game earns a 7.4 out of 10 from me. Anyways, thanks for watching. For anyone new here, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games, so feel free to check out some of my other content if that sounds interesting. Always remember that Jesus loves you all very much. Peace.